It takes a lot to get this far. A lot. Well, we're here now. So now what? 16 games.
Playoff time. Playoff.
But really, we're just getting started. We know it's a long time coming.
For the first time in 13 years.
But we still got a long way to go.
That hypnotic championship mindset.
Our story's got blood, sweat, and a hell of a lot of tears. But the thing is, they got them too. And only one of us is moving on.
This right here, man, is a moment. An incredible moment, dog. We know when we play. Ain't nobody laying with us.
It took us a minute to get here. Now, get ready for 60 more.
Across midfield. Pressure up the middle, not going to escape that time. A lot of time. Steps in with guns it back. It's in the air and picks. Back the other way. Ronald Jones has a Buccaneer touchdown.
Playoff live, baby.
Chris Godwin, just stop it.
And the ball's out. Looking for Gronk, and he's got it.
This is what Tampa needed. Get this place rocking.
Our playoffs start now, baby. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? Huh? Huh? Don't talk about it. Be about it. Let's go.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Sports Talk 49 live on BucsReport.com every Monday and Friday at 3 p.m. This show is powered by none other than 320 Solar. Go to 320solar.com. Today's lineup, it's Victory Monday, of course. We're going to talk Bucs versus Washington recap. Friday, we'll talk pregame to the Saints lineup, round 3, and see how that matchup. I got a perspective for you guys. Tom Brady, the Donovan Smith played excellent in this game, and we'll get into how they played and look at some of the highlights and things like that. And, of course, the coaching from the couch session with none other than 411's Deshaun Tisdale and USA Today Steelers wire Allison Killshot Kohler. All that's available and more right here on Bucs Report right after these short messages. So sit back, relax, get your drink, and I'll be here waiting for you. If I can find a thing for you.
Power bill through the roof? At 320 Solar, that power bill will be no more. In fact, about 90% of our customers report lower solar payments than with electricity. That's more power in your pocket. 320 Solar. Power up. Going solar with 320 may cost you nothing down. But the work we do is not a $0 job. With a 10-year roof penetration warranty and solar panels guaranteed for 25 years, you can have peace of mind knowing we will do the job right every time without question. .320 Solar. Power up.
And we're back to more Buccaneers versus Redskins post-game talk. How are you guys enjoying Victory Monday? I know I'm enjoying it because the monkey's off the back. When you ask for something, you get it. And I think that'll be the last time Chase Young's asked for anything other than no vegetables on his plate. Because after you got this on Saturday night primetime, Tom Brady giving it to the rookie Chase Young, I think that'll be the last time he ever asked for a 6-time Super Bowl champion, multiple MVP, trying to call him out to get himself psyched. I doubt he'll do that again. This is Sports Talk 49. I'm Blake Anthony, giving you the Monday post-game edition. Follow me anywhere on my social media at BlakeAnthony49. You never know. I might be generous and give stuff away. You can follow me right here on my Twitter handle, right there at BlakeAnthony49 at any time. Just hit me up, follow me, and I'll usually respond and give you some dialogue and some things I thought. So let's get into it. Bucks pull off a win. I said, were you satisfied? Were you satisfied with the win? Do you think it was too close? Do you think they should have won by more? Do you think there's some concerns on the Buccaneers defense? What do you guys think? Tom Brady goes 22 for 40, 381 yards, 2 touchdowns, has a QBR of 104.3. What do you guys think about that? The rushing day, Leonard Fournette had a great day, 9 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown. He was the bell cow back of the day and did really, really well in this game, in this matchup with the Washington football team. Receiving, of course, Mike Evans showed up, 6 receptions, 119 yards, no touchdowns. Antonio Brown showed up as we thought he would, 2 receptions, 49 yards, and a touchdown. Godwin, 5 receptions, 79 yards, and a touchdown, which it could have been at least 10 receptions had he not had so many drops. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? What's wrong with me? I forgot to give you guys the Victory Monday shuffle, the Victory Monday dance. You know what I mean? You know, when you woke up this morning and got you won Saturday, you come into work Monday and you feel like that excited, and then you come home and you do this. Nah, shebang, yeah, come on, I'll lead you along. The drought is over. As I said before, that is not me dancing. It's a Buck fan on a social media page, and I just thought it was awesome how excited he was, and I just wanted to use that with some little creative musical background. But again, it's Monday victory. A lot of teams lost. The Steelers lost to the Browns after Juju talking a lot of smack. It seems like when you talk smack, you lose a playoff game. That seems to be the norm now. When you talk smack, you lose your playoff game. Juju lost. Chase Young lost. That seems to be the norm. But all that couldn't have happened without the front line of Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, Alex Kappa, and the youngster Tristan Wirfs. So let's hear what Donovan Smith has to say about that, shall we? Enjoy.
Oh man, no, you do got to give credit. They play well together as a unit. But at the end of the day, we got to go out there, do what we do, play our ball. Then nothing else matters. We do our job, take care of itself. So,
what was the mood like in the locker room? You know, this franchise hasn't won a playoff game since they won a Super Bowl in 2002. I mean, you guys just looking forward to advancing, surviving, advance type mode?
No, I feel like you talking about before the game or after?
After.
Oh no, I feel like a lot of guys are enjoying the win, but we know work's not done. So, for tonight, we're gonna sit here, we're gonna enjoy it. But we gotta get back to the drawing board and correct things that we need to correct. Oh man, Cap, man. I hope he's okay. I haven't spoke to him or anything. But to lose a guy like that, it's tough. He's been playing good ball this year. He's a great leader. He's been huge, with Tristan and stuff on that side. So, but like I said, it's next man up. The way it goes. So, whoever we're gonna fill in, whatever we need to do, if that needs to be done, we'll do it. So,
thanks, Donovan.
Yep. They were a good unit. They played hard tonight. But like I said, I'm taking my unit 100 times out of, you know what I'm saying, all the time. So no matter what, I'm always go to battle with my guys. But hats off to everybody who played well today.
Can you just speak to the performance that Tom had too? Because there was, pressure at times. Let's face it, there was, but it just seemed like, he was really calm. He climbed the pocket and he was able to get those shots off.
That's why he's Tom Brady. You feel me? But like I said, we still got to do some things that we got to clean up. By no means was it a perfect game. But like I said, we're going to enjoy this win, fix what we need to fix, and, go from there.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, no, it's big. Like you said, we've been here 6 years together. We knew how big the game was. We knew how big it was to get to the playoffs. So now, it's all on us, as a team to continue that approach that we have. Shoot for the past, what has been about 5-6 weeks that we've been, on a roll. So keep doing what we're doing. Like I said, get better each day and go from there.
And I know.
I mean, I can't talk about next week until we figure out who we playing, right? I mean, I'm not for all of what is. When we figure out who we play, we'll go from there. But, whoever we schedule to play, we got to go out there and play them no matter who they are. So how hard Leonard Fournette ran tonight?
Yes.
Oh, man, playoff Lenny, that man crazy, boy. He doing what he's always done. He's, he's a great back. Has the capability to do a lot of things, and not a lot of guys want to come meet him. So, I rock out with my guys, like I say, all the time. I'm proud of him running hard. Like I said, we're gonna open up them lanes for him, let him get busy. So.
And there you have it, Donovan Smith on his recap of his big day down there in Washington after all the speculation about Washington's defense. At some point, it got from Chase Young when he called out Tom Brady, it got to just the Washington's defense, and everybody kind of forgot about how good the Buccaneers offense was. And if you're just tuning in, this is Sports Talk 49 live on BucsReport.com every Monday and Friday at 3 p.m. The show is powered by none other than 320 Solar. Go to 320solar.com and pay nothing out of pocket till 2022. Also, head down to the Deck Bar and Grill at Isla del Sol. Cedric Robinson in the game. Great food, great experience. It was packed with Bucs fans Saturday night for the Saturday night primetime game. We didn't get out of there till 2 o'clock in the morning, so it was an exciting experience. And I'm sorry if you missed out on it. You got another week to do so. So check it out. If you're not sure where it is, just you can hit me up on any social media, Blake Anthony 49, and I'll tell you where to go. Let me get to some of these comments here. We'll start from the top. Christopher Cole, he gets so hyped. Mr. Young, the D needs to tighten up. I agree. What do you guys think? Barry Gold, hey, Tampa Bay, the Bucs are here to shine. Absolutely. Cam Jordan still talking. He's going to talk till you shut him up. There's no reason for him to stop talking unless somebody does it. And the way Donovan Smith played last Saturday, I almost said Sunday, last Saturday, that's how we should play every game. Tim Witherspoon, too close, haha. I'll take an 8-point win in every playoff game. Let's go to round 2. Absolutely. Unfinished business, LFG. Warfield is still an unrestricted free agent. Just saying. Do you really want to plug him in and have no continuity with the offensive line? I mean, I'm not sure. Frank Johnson, what is going on? Barry, I'm excited and very nervous about this game at the same time. You knew it was coming. They said, run from it, dread it, run from it. Destiny still arrives. And you have to beat them to win the Super Bowl. There's no hiding. You don't want to hide and win. You don't want to win a championship. You want to know that you overcame adversity and getting bullied by somebody 2 games in a row. And then that third time come out fighting with your hands up, just like the Cleveland Browns did against the Pittsburgh Steelers when nobody believed in them. Everybody's out on COVID. Your coach is out. Nobody believed in Cleveland but Cleveland. And they came out and got the victory. They came out, they wanted it more than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh felt they just were going to walk into a win, and they found the fist of Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield. This offense put up 506 yards against PFF, 6th best defense. Yep. RJ Smooth, secondary and pass rush has to ball out or we're cooked. Absolutely, they can't pass rush this coming Sunday like they did Saturday. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. Jose Angel Martinez beat the Saints. Misador depth. I preached that till I was blue in the face in the offseason about there's no depth behind any of these starters. I said one guy goes down, it's going to hurt this unit. Multiple people have gone down at certain times. COVID has hit people, and you saw it's a tremendous drop off when these guys are out, and you're still dealing with that now. You're not getting a consistent pass rush. The most pass rush you're getting at quarterbacks now is from your interior linebackers, Kevin Minter, Levante David, Devin White, of course, finishing the season with 9 sacks and missed a game with COVID. Well, 2 games, pretty much. Didn't play in Atlanta, and now didn't play in Washington. So it's all interesting how this works out, and with depth. So I really expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to shore up that depth coming in this offseason. You got Hicks from the Chicago Bears coming in a free agent at the end of the year, but we'll talk all of that later. We'll talk recap here. What do you think about the young kid Tyler Heineke coming out, playing really, really well for Washington? Kind of shocked the Bucs with how athletic he was. I mean, I anticipated that. I know I made my winning angle for Alex Smith because that's all I had to go on at the time, but I did understand that he might play, and he took a lot of reps with the ones. And he honestly gave you a better option with his legs, and he helped out. He took advantage of a very tired and beat up front line. Jason Pierre-Paul's dealing with ailing knee injuries. It's getting, the season gets wearing on, and that's the importance of having depth on the lines, because pass rushing and getting consistent pass rush helps coming in these games when you play these teams with great offensive lines and great running backs and great quarterbacks. You're going to need that consistent line, and you're going to need a running game because it takes a lot of load off of everybody when you have those things. Let's get to some of these comments. Right, my man, we get pressure. We get them. Tim Witherspoon, in our last Super Bowl year, we lost to the Saints twice in the regular season and beat them in the playoffs. Absolutely. I think the scores were 20. We played, ironically, they played in 2002 schedule. You're right, Tim. They played them week 1, 20-26. They lost week 1, and they played the Saints, 16, 15, 14, 13, like week 12 almost, and then lost 20-23 in that matchup. So you're right. We have to draft linemen. Jamal, what's going on? You said that multiple times. I have the receipt. I have the receipts that you said it. Yeah, I preached it till I was blue in the face. And I told you it would come back. It would come back to bite you if you didn't get depth on the line. But I like Leonard. I mean, Leonard Fournette. Keyshawn Vaughn. I like Tyler Johnson. But those were spots that you really didn't need to draft at that particular time when you had multiple defensive linemen and offensive linemen out that were available to pick up at that time. And those are spots that are irreplaceable sometimes, especially the loss of Vita Vea. He was going to use his legs. That's what he has. Yep. Smooth. We played bad against the backups historically. No tape undo real. He made a lot of plays, ad-libbing and things like that. And that happens from time to time when you scheme for a guy, but our guys are kind of banged up too. So he took advantage of it. They made some plays when they needed to make plays. And that's really what it came down to do. Like when they made a big touchdown, fourth down and things like that, making some conversions. So, I mean, that's football, but at the end of the day, they controlled the game the whole time. So I can't be too mad. So we didn't use the depth much on defensive line this game. Nope. Matt Heineke really surprised me. He played well under the circumstances, but the bad guys prevailed. Let's go Bucks. Unleash Shade. I think he was out. Ronald Jones was called out earlier in the game with a quad injury. We'll see how that plays out coming to these next weeks. But I have to give props, man. The offensive line was the cornerstone of this game. They were the cornerstone. They played really, really well along with Tom Brady in the game. So I can't be too upset, about all that. Those guys played extremely well. They performed above and beyond. And with all that, I told Peter Blake if Donovan Smith played out really hard, I would give him a shout out. And here it is, my perspective, Donovan Smith. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of My Perspective with your host from Sports Talk 49, Blake Anthony. Check out today's My Perspective and let me know what you think. Make sure to follow me on social media. Enjoy. It wouldn't be right if I didn't give love to the big man, 76, the veteran on the offensive line. Donovan Smith had a great day, outsmarted Chase Young on several levels, and played like a veteran versus a first-year player in Chase Young. Check this out. First play of the game. Set the tone, big man. Donovan Smith, number 76, is going up against Chase Young. Go man on man, hand on hand here. Donovan Smith gets his hands off of him, puts him in the dirt. Have a good night. Take this play off while we move the ball down the field. Donovan Smith wins this matchup early in the game and set dominance early that he wasn't going to be pushed around. This play here, Chase Young tries to hit Donovan Smith with a spin move, but Smith isn't having it. Waits for him to make his first move. Young misses. Smith has a great base and denies Young any type of momentum to get to Club Brady because Donovan Smith definitely wasn't allowing access. I can't go without mentioning Donovan Smith did a great job run blocking as well. Look how he sets up the edge right here, sealing out the outside defender, creating all types of running lanes here for Antonio Brown with Cam Brate lead blocking. Donovan Smith is downfield trying to keep him as long as he can, and Antonio Brown is allowed to gain a lot of yards on this play. Just another beauty here by Donovan Smith. Being aggressive, that's what I like to see. Chase Young gets his hands extended. Donovan Smith punches his arms down, gets Chase Young again off balance and tells him to have a seat. You're in timeout. Club Brady is in session and you're not allowed in. This one had me giggling a little bit. Yes, I said giggle. Chase Young's had enough of Donovan Smith, so he tries to sick brother Montez Sweat on him. Donovan Smith beats him up too. Pushes him down in the schoolyard. Look at him being nasty. Got his head down, letting him know he's here to stay, and letting Montez Sweat know that he's got nothing coming in this play. Was facing the ground, looking at his shoes, making sure his laces are tied. Of course, there's my session. Peter, I told you I would do that. Donovan Smith's excellent performance against a premier pass rusher, young stud, Chase Young, possibly rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. It's possible. What do you think? If you just tuned in, it's a Sports Talk 49 live on BucksReport.com every Monday and Friday at 3 p.m. Shows power than none other than 320 Solar. Always go to 320solar.com and put the power back into your pocket. So with all that said, I mean, how are you guys? Were you guys satisfied with the way Donovan Smith played? I mean, do you think he played well? Do you think I think that game he was played to the $14 million the contract that he has. I've been very critical of him, and I have to be fair down the middle. That guy balled out. He did things in that game I'd never seen him do all year. He really watched tape on Chase Young. He played games with him, made his first move and then knocked his hands down, knocked him off balance. He didn't let Chase Young use his momentum against him in pass blocking. If that makes sense what I said. And that clip, if you watch it again, you'll literally see Donovan Smith punch his arms down, like make a club it down to the ground, and Chase Young lost balance and he fell down. Donovan Smith was making bacon pancakes. First you get the bacon and you put it in the pancake. That's what he was doing all game, along with Tristan Wirfs and a lot of those other guys. Ryan Jensen made a couple nasty pancake blocks. It was a block party on that Buccaneers offensive line. Ted Larson came in. I think it was just a communication thing because I think they were sliding left on that play, and I don't think he got the memo and didn't cover the A gap. And I think it was Allen that came through both times and made 2 sacks on Brady. It didn't hurt him in the long run, but it did kind of put him back and made it a longer field goal. So that's pretty much what happened with that. Let me get to these comments here. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm going to make sure I stay on top of them. Missed tackles and drop passes made this game look – it did with Godwin. He would have had over double-digit receptions had he not dropped multiple passes, especially that one Brady dropped in the bread basket right there. Misador never trailed. All in all, RJ Smooth. All in all, I think all in all of it, like this. Our defense played well enough. O-line was awesome. They couldn't hang with our offense. I agree. Harry Bird, what's going on, brother? Come Tampa Bay, open document for 3.5 point underdog against the Saints. I'll try that again. Stupid texting never works. The early line in Tampa opened up at getting 3.5 points against the Saints as an underdog. I expected that. I just would see how much they put him under with Buccaneers rolling with the really, really hot offense. Coming the last 4 games and then coming to this, with this playoff game, I'm sure they dropped it. They probably would have put it more had it been closer to when the Saints put the beating on Tampa Bay. Misador Brady's making OJ look more expendable. Both, much like Howard, Brady's in the same boat. Both couldn't stay healthy. Brady's been out for 2 years with injury and just now playing well, and it's definitely not playing on the level he was when Jameis was here. Now, Jameis loved throwing to Brady, in key situations, rightfully so, because Brady would make those catches. But he doesn't offer breakaway speeds and things like that. Like, he got open, in zone coverage and stuff like that. But when you play a team like the Saints, he's not going to outrun Charlie Gardner-Johnson. He's not going to outrun those guys, and he hasn't fared well anytime they've played against them. Now, see, O.J. Howard has the speed of like Waller out in Las Vegas. They beat him a lot with over routes. He just outrunning a defender coming from one side of the field to the other. And it's hard to cover somebody running that much field in that long stretch. And that's the kind of plus on the plus side that O.J. Howard has over Brady is that speed and that size that you can body and make catches. So I agree and disagree. Barry Gold, I have more mad props for Washington. They played their butts off. They did. It shouldn't be surprised with their head coach, Ron Rivera. That team's not going to be the regime under Jay Gruden there. That's going to change with Ron Rivera. You're going to get a hard fighting defense with an offense that runs the ball and tries to keep their quarterback out of trouble. Now, don't be surprised if you see Cam Newton there next year, but that's a whole nother conversation. Smoke, I was proud of Smith on Sat. I was too. I have to give props. Everybody was telling me you was giving him SHIT, Sugar Honey Iced Tea all year. And I said, I got to give props when he played well. That man played well. I got to be fair. RJ Smooth, dude, like 3 years ago, Brady was top in the league. Oh, yeah. Manimal. Oh, yeah, he was. That's what I'm saying. He kind of fell off with all them injuries. And worse, sucks Kappa out, though. Oh, yeah. Worse, balling out, of course. And then Kappa, they said he's just out this game, so that's hopefully he can come back and play again, but definitely not having him in against the team I'm worried the most about with pass rush. They're going to have to work hard this week. Donovan Smith going to have another good performance. Young Smith played good. RJ Smooth, break. Oh, screen jump there. Hold on now. Was that many comments came in? There it is. Smooth Brady, he's still available. Then Dalvin. OJ. Everybody says that. Dalvin Cook would have played well, but Dalvin had trouble staying away from the law at Florida State. So Dalvin's from Miami. So if you stick him here in Tampa with a 3-hour ride to Miami every offseason or after every practice, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. You're giving a young man all that money. He can drive home literally every day if he wanted to, or every weekend or whatever day they get out. It's not good. So sticking him all the way up north in Minnesota was probably the best place for him. I really don't think he would have fit here off the field, if that makes sense. On the field would have been fine. Off the field is the issue. For the negative chatter, he got this season huge game. He dominated him. Absolutely. That's why I had to give him love. Tim Witherspoon, that was our O-line's best game of the year. You think so? What about they shut down Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald had 0 stats. Chase Young did have a couple tackles, no sacks or anything, no, but Montez Sweat did get a sack. It was because Brady held the ball and he came all the way from the other side. And then they gave up 3 sacks this game. So I would say the Rams, if I had to guess. I mean, what do you guys think? I would say the Rams game. Aaron Donald recording zero stats. Aaron Donald recorded 0 stats in that game. Dude, glad we got Gronky. I love break. Gronky was even blocking Chase Young, getting nasty with him too. Brian, now you're coming to play a real team. Hey, that's your team, Brian, the Saints. We'll see what happens. We need Devin White. You got him. Get it right, bro. Get it right, bro. We need O-line to step up this week. Absolutely. We have White in both Aints game. We just need to step up and have a score. Yeah, you got to put up offense, first of all. Stopping somebody on defense would help too. And the real teams win Super Bowls. Y'all do a whole lot of choking. Just make sure y'all don't choke. Oh, he's talking about Brian being a Saints fan. Yeah, the Saints have been getting put out in the playoffs early against a lackluster Minnesota team that just seemed to have the recipe for them. And the Bears, I think, would have done something as well had they had some offense. If the Bears defense played offense, they've been all right. But we know that don't work. And what about him dropping that reverse pass? Holy moly. Like, only thing he could have done was walk over there and put it in your arms. And you just dropped that. But that's the difference between playing in college and playing in the pros. You ain't score until you scored. Donovan getting better, getting his stuff all year. I mean, this is the time to do it. I'll take a playoff Donovan Smith any day of the week. Right now, that's all I got to go by in the playoff. I'll take that version. I'm tired of hearing the major pundits saying how bad our defense played instead of getting the F team props for playing as well as they did. We didn't okay down to them. Oh, we didn't play down there. I get what you're saying. They played up to us. I guess that's like a glass half full kind of thinking thing. I mean, okay, I get that. Gary, what's going on? Can we beat the Saints? You can beat anybody you line up against. Just come out and play your game. RJ Smooth, of course we can. Our offense is balling. Brady is focused. Brady isn't the one I'm not worried about. If you win the whole thing, what do you say? Do you give Tom Brady a contract extension? Everybody keeps saying the extension. Why wouldn't you extend him? The question is, does he want to play past 45? That's the question. Does he want to play past 45? As he said, that's where he wants to play till. And, of course, we got in the lobby Deshaun Tisdale from the 411, and other than Allison Kohler from the USA Today. Steelers Wire, my sister from another mister, you know. Yeah, I know everybody wants to rag on her about that Steelers-Browns game, and I got some treats for her as well. Corey Hall, Jensen is going to have more move to guard and take Ted at center. Possible. They've done it already this year. Drop TD in the end zone right through his hands. Bears Saints game. Oh, God, yeah, it was awful. Pound the rock all day. Brandon Virgil Jr., worst game ever from my boy Chris. Yeah, and Tom Brady went to him and, you know, consoled him. I mean, it was just a bad game for him. Like I said, luckily it didn't hurt them in the long run of it. I got my coin in the mail. Thank you. Oh, you guys got your stuff in the mail. Glad I mailed you out for the 4 people that followed me. I mailed them all. They're out there. Giveaway stuff, the Buccaneer flag, the gold coin, and all that. Saints game will be close. We will have to start fast and finish with attitude defensively. Need to set the tone early. Someone needs to go out to to go out and take skins. If they come out banging, you will watch the taints wilt. Tim Witherspoon, what's the glass half full analogy? I'm glass half full kind of guy. Oh, I got you. RJ Smooth, Brady at least committed to another season already. Right. That's what I said. If he wants to play past 45. Precise, you Blake received my commemorative ticket. I appreciate that. Got to slow down the Cameron Jordan. Can't stand that guy. I don't think anybody does, especially running his mouth. Which receiver was Brady yelling at Saturday? I believe it was Godwin on that play. I think it was Gary, if I'm not mistaken. And speaking of that, let me play this real quick clip of Tom Brady's performance there. Then we'll go to a break, and then we'll bring the coaching of the couch session up with Deshaun and Allison. We'll still talk Bucks. We'll talk around the league because so much is happening with all this happening. Doug Peterson getting fired. J.J. Watt contemplating retirement. The disaster in Houston. Pittsburgh, Big Ben. Big Ben was crying on the bench. When you cry after a loss like that, I know when I played my last football game, I know what that means. I was crying because I knew I was done. And when I saw that, I said, "Oh, that's hanging it up." When I saw that, in my opinion. So we'll see what Allison thinks, and we'll see what you guys think, because when I saw him crying sitting on the bench alone, I know exactly what that means. So let's see what Tom Brady, his performance, since you guys were talking about that, and then we'll get to Allison and Deshaun, because there's a whole lot to talk about. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of My Perspective with your host from Sports Talk 49, Blake Anthony. Check out today's My Perspective and let me know what you think. Make sure to follow me on social media. Enjoy. TB12, my, have you done it again? Getting called out by a rookie, winning a playoff game that a team hasn't been to the playoffs in 13 years, and just pure excellence in this game as you went 22 for 40, 381 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let's look and see some of those throws from that game. Check it out. On this play right here, Tom Brady's pressured by the middle linebacker inside the A-gap. Leonard Fournette goes to pick up the block. Defender's able to slip off and still get into Tom Brady's face. Tom Brady stares down the eyes of adversity and just drops a dime in there to Chris Godwin. Just look at this. 2 defenders, Chase Young on his back, linebacker in the front. And Tom Brady does what Tom Brady does, is deliver dimes. And this one is a dime right in the bread basket over a defender that Chris Godwin unfortunately drops. Here's the 43-year-old version of Patrick Mahomes. I don't mean in the size of looks. I mean feet work and the ball going one direction while your body's going the other. Here, Tom Brady is forced to step up in the pocket. Linebacker's getting into the drop. Tom Brady is sliding to his left and is able to throw the ball back right to Mike Evans, which is a perfect completion, pinpoint accuracy right in between the 1 and the 3. Somebody said they wanted TB12. Well, you're going to get TB12. Here, Tom Brady's making an adjustment at the line of scrimmage to Mike Evans. He takes the snap here, sends the motion. Now he takes the snap, goes back in his drop, snaps kind of low. Now check this throw out here. Good Lord of mercy. Tom Brady's getting hit dead in his chest between the numbers and still is able to deliver a dime in the bucket, throw to none other than Mike Evans, right in the hands for a big first down. And there you have it, the winning angle. Tom Brady playing a stellar performance in that game at 43 years of age. Wow, who'd have thought? All these rule changes, I guess, these quarterbacks can play forever. Father Time gets slowed down just a little bit with all these new rules. I'm Blake Anthony. This is Sports Talk 49, here every Monday and Friday on BucsReport.com. We're going to go to a little commercial break and then get into the session, one of my favorites, Coaching from the Couch, with none other than Deshaun and little Allison. So stay tuned. Get your coffee ready, whatever you're drinking. I know Deshaun got the big boy cup over there, so whatever he's got in there, maybe some Hennessy if I know him. So let's get to it and get this commercial and be right back.
Could be us, but you haven't called. Call 1-833-77-SOLAR right now and join the 320 Solar Happy Customers Club for $0 down and no payments until 2022. We'll put the power back in your hands. 320 Solar. Power up.
And we're back after that break. We're none other than Sean and Allison Kohler. How you guys doing?
Hey, everybody's good. I'm good.
Everybody's good. Allison, you all right?
No. Should I be all right? Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, you know,
I'm hanging in there. I'm starting my football detox as much as I can.
Was that require wine and alcohol, or just staying away from the TV?
Just staying away from the TV.
Yeah, gotcha.
Watch the game tonight. Maybe I'll watch the game tonight because it's college. Maybe I can try and talk myself into it not being like, since it's not professional, maybe I can kind of, walk the fine line of pretending like it's not football. Yeah. So yeah, the Steelers lost in an embarrassing fashion.
Oh God, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected that to happen last night.
Oh wait. When you got the tape from last week, Blake, who said how this offense was going to come out for the Steelers? I don't say I've been jinxing people, but I did say how this offense was going to come out.
Yeah, people are going to tell you to stop talking.
Yeah, I'm speaking it into existence. So Tampa in the Super Bowl, how about that? Let's go. But I'm just saying, Allison, we said how this offense was going to sputter, and you even questioned too. I know you truly did in your heart of what offensive team were you going to see come out there, and what did you see in that first quarter that let you knew where this was going to go? Like first half of the game, did you know?
The first offensive snap. Ben Roethlisberger's head.
Oh yeah, and then he don't do it. He does a Cam Newton, doesn't dive on the fumble.
This is the thing. So it's Roethlisberger and Connor were both just like looking at the ball and like looking at each other and looking at the ball, and it was just like, what is going on? Like somebody do something. Like I could see Ben not jumping on him because he would probably get crushed by a bunch of other people. But Connor, I mean, the fact that neither of them did anything about that ball just baffles me. And I knew right away. I mean, I didn't expect it to be quite that bad, but I knew right away. Okay, this is how the game's going to go. This is how the game's going to go, and that's exactly what happened. So there was one drive where I thought, okay, you know what, we're coming back. There's a chance, and then just interceptions and turnovers, and it was just a nightmare from the very beginning. So
he threw for a bunch of yards. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he had to. I mean, like 501 yards. I mean, there was a he set some records last night for passing attempts and completions and. But it's not how you want to go. That's not. You don't want to set those records because you just don't want to. You want to set those records on your own terms and not because you have to come back from such a.
Well, Allison, let me ask you this: did you feel like those were the last records that he was going to set?
No. I think he's. He and God are talking. That's the word. He and God are talking. So we'll see what God says.
And Father Tom sitting in on that meeting.
Right. If God says go back to football, Big Ben, then apparently it's up to God. So we'll see what happens there. But I don't think he's going to retire. I hear you on Blake, what you were saying about how he was crying on the bench. There's rumors, and again, it's just rumors. I have no inside knowledge on anything Steelers related, unfortunately, but there's rumors flying around that Pouncey is going to retire. So, and I sort of feel like maybe that's because Pouncey was sitting next to him, you know what I mean? And they were, crying together or whatever. I feel like he's going to retire. And honestly, like he's been, you know what I mean? He's been one of their greatest centers, but you know what? Time to go, buddy. If his heart's not in it anymore. DeCastro's heart isn't in it anymore. I think anybody whose heart is not in it just needs just go, including Ben. If his heart isn't in it anymore, retire. But I really don't think he's going to be honest with you. I think he's going to at least play out his contract. I think the only way for the Steelers to get because he's due $41 million.
Jesus.
And the bonus, he's paid $15 million in March, so they have to make some decisions pretty quickly. But the only way to ease that is to extend him. So, because restructuring him, they've done that multiple times. It's not really going to save them any money to restructure. So, really, the only way for them to save any money is to extend him. So,
I don't know, Allison. No. I think he's done. What do you think, Blake?
I mean, me and Allison. I know everybody's giving Allison a hard time right now, but she couldn't have been the most honest about the Steelers since the beginning of the year. So when I see what people on social media now riding her because of the Steelers, Steelers loss, I'm like, she was one of the ones that was telling you that this team wasn't good from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And they won. It was undefeated 11 games before the real them came out. He said, "With a real Pittsburgh, please stand up." They decided they stood up at the end of the year in the playoffs. You lost to a team that you beat twice previously. Nobody saw that coming, definitely. And it's definitely football is a game that you cannot guess what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Everybody keeps thinking that things are just that simple and you can just figure it out. Cleveland just showed you everything against you. Possibly that could happen. What could go wrong will go wrong, and it happened. And even and a lot of people, thought the Steelers were going to walk over them, even though we showed Colin Cowher earlier this year didn't believe in Pittsburgh anymore. He even thought Pittsburgh going to win this game against the Browns, especially with the head coach being out. It's just something that you just never seen coming. And I just think the Pittsburgh, like you said, Allison, I think their heads were out of it because it clearly looked one team was ready to play and the other team wasn't. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I just don't know how you come into the playoffs unprepared like that. I mean, they were just – it's like they didn't – it's like the Browns didn't practice all week.
Nope.
So if there was one team that was going to come out and look like that, it should have been the Browns, and it wasn't.
They had every reason to.
Yeah. The game had the makings. The days leading up to the game, I was like, oh, boy, here we go. Stefanski's, not going to be coaching. They have a bunch of starters out. I heard the announcers say last night the offensive coordinator just met like a couple of the guys who were playing.
Correct. Yeah.
Just met them like 2 or 3 days earlier. So it's like, what? You know what I mean? How are we losing? How are we losing right now? So it had all the makings of just being a massive blowout. And when I heard all of these players were going to be out because of COVID and injuries and things, I'm like, oh no. This is the worst possible situation Pittsburgh could be in because of what happened with the Ravens game, and that was just proof that just showed you that it doesn't matter who's playing. It seems like for the Steelers anyway, it doesn't matter who they're up against. It could be JV, it could be freaking junior high player, and it's just ridiculous.
Did you have to go to Best Buy and get another television is what I want to know.
Right. Yeah. No, actually, I love my TV way too much. I honestly sat there most of the night just like.
Really? I did not. When it was like 28-0, I'm like, what the hell is going on? I was like, whoa. And then just having his way.
Yeah. And they didn't get any. The defense, gosh. The defense didn't get any pressure. I mean, if anything, the defense has been our saving grace. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though they haven't been playing as well as they did to start the season. After they lost Bud Dupree, they haven't won a game. So it's like, and he's one player. And I know that he and TJ worked really well together, but it's like, and then Alex Highsmith went out. When I saw Highsmith went out and wasn't coming back, I was like, oh man. Like they're not going to get any pressure on Baker, and they sure didn't.
Listen, I felt like this Browns team was going to be a tough out for you guys coming to this week. We spoke about how that Steelers offense, and you being a Steeler fan, and Blake, and a lot of people that actually watch other football, not just one Buccaneer team. You see that this Steelers team has been winning games that people just looked and said, well, they lucked up on that one. They lucked up. And it was going to be the point where that luck was going to run out, Mm-hmm. So it was a telltale that this team just wasn't, they are not who their record says they are. They've kind of scraped through these games And, because they were able to scrape through these games, I mean, people kind of had them how they touted. But I don't think if you're a true Steelers fan that you looked at that team and thought that team was, even the AFC champion. I feel like you felt, this exit was a notable exit. Sure, would you like to win one? I think so. But, the fact that this Browns team just came in and they were just exercising the demons on you guys. I mean, they
were relentless. They just didn't give up. I mean, when you're playing prevent in the second quarter, that says a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what are you guys doing here? But the sad thing about all of it, like, let's pretend it was Ben's last game. Like, going into this game, I was like, if he's going to retire, like, they should be doing it like they did it for the bus. You know what I mean? Like, they 6th seed that season that they won the Super Bowl in Detroit. And
I think it was a different team, Joe.
Oh, what? No, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying, like, if you need some kind of extra motivation, you know what I mean? Like, to do it, like, let's do it for Ben. Like, this could be his last year. Even say he comes back. The chances of them, I mean, maybe the chances are kind of okay of them going to the playoffs next year because of the expanded playoff, blah, blah, blah. But still, it's like you don't get a chance. Chances like these don't come along very often. And we know because the Steelers have only been to the playoffs like 3 or 4 times in the past 10 years. So it's like they just didn't play last night like they cared. Like they had any sense of wanting to move on at all. I mean, I'll give it to Juju. Like, he had a great game, and Deontay and Chase, and even, Ben's interceptions obviously were were what did them in ultimately. But, he didn't really look like he still threw for 501 yards and 68 attempts. And so he's still, it's just frustrating. They had no without effort last night, and it's very disappointing.
Yeah, that's why I sent you that message earlier at the beginning of the game. I said it's gonna be a Tums kind of day, isn't it? I said, oh Lord, she ain't answering. She's pissed off. I already knew what was going on.
All of my friends are Browns fans, pretty much.
I remember you said you grew up.
Turn my ringer off. I put my Apple Watch.
Yeah.
I put that on the charger. Yeah, I even turned my phone upside down because I had it sitting next to me and I saw it keep lighting up, and I'm like, I gotta man, like there's just no, I'm not even dealing with this right now. So
there's no getting away from it. I mean, I get it. I fully get it, but I mean, as you look at this division and you talk about, hey, where are we gonna be at, where this Steelers team is gonna be at next year. Of course, we can pick up a couple of pieces in the draft, but overall, I mean, obviously, if you lose Ben, I think we're in a rebuild mode. You have that defense, but it's just something has to change here. So I don't think you guys are changing OCs because it doesn't seem to be the Steeler way. And if Ben is gone, you need another Ben to step in because the offense is predicated on that type of person. Hence why I think J-Dub, I don't say the name Blake, but I think J-Dub should have went to the Steelers because this might have been his, segue into another starting role, which, is going to be escaping him. But when you talk about this Steeler team and where they're at, where they're going, you got to look at the other stuff in the AFC right now. I mean, it's tough sledding. Mm-hmm. Even if you escape this game, it was at all these matchups. I'll give it to the NFL. I'm surprised that we got what we got out this season. With so many games completed and, we didn't have to cancel it, things like that. But these playoff games are some serious games.
Oh, yeah.
And they look great. The matchups are, I feel like every team that's in the playoffs should be in the playoffs. There's not a team here that's not going to bring, and even to Washington's credit, listen, we talk about, they're 7-9 team. Listen, they represent that conference. Not only do they represent that conference, they came out and with someone that was out of football for 2 years and pretty much on the street, he just put up 300 yards on us. So for anybody that's an armchair quarterback or whatever, don't think you can't do it. Heineke just stopped drinking Heineke's and finishing his degree and went into the NFL and went and played a full game, put up 300 yards. So he could definitely be done.
Yes, he definitely did. He came out and played big boy ball. Let me show you these two quick clips real quick, and let me see what you guys think about these. One, I know Allison's going to be distraught. I know I am when I see the second one, but this one I want you guys to see what Colin had to say about this game.
The hat on forwards. Of course, backwards hat. Guy that does it never gets it. Those who don't get it, they don't get it. It's not quarterbackial. I will tell you the quarterbacks I like this weekend. Big Ben hat forward. Breeze always hat forward. Lamar Jackson doesn't wear a hat. We couldn't find a picture. Brady, last 15 years, hat forward. Goff plays hat forward. And Josh Allen, to this point, though he's young, has been hat forward. We looked for all the opportunities. I know. It's no big deal, says the guy who wears the hat backwards. Look at that. That just says playoff loss, doesn't it? Doesn't that just say down 12, sacked, fumble, minute and a half to play? Doesn't say playoff winner to me. Says things are unraveling in Pittsburgh this weekend. Go ahead, downplay it. No big deal. All right, yeah. Go find Mahomes forward. Forward that guy. In fact, headband. Not opposed to headband. Not opposed to beanie. Not opposed to hat. Last quarterback to wear a hat backwards at the weekly podium. One did it this year. Carson Wentz. Look at that. What happened to his season? You guys say it doesn't matter. All right. It is hat on backwards karma. It is bad. Another reason I like the Steelers this weekend. All right. I've had too much fun this week to let you.
Did you like the Steelers after this?
Oh, God. Yeah, that's Ebron for you. He and Juju are like, TikTok lovers or whatever. I just don't even know. Yeah.
Well, look who else joined us, Mr. Jacob Charno as well, coaching from the couch.
What's up,
What's
guys?
going on? How you doing, Jacob?
What's up, Jacob?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. It's a full house in here. We love it. Everybody's here. You got representing the Steelers, Bucks, and the Jets now. We got it all covered here.
Jets. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Rep it. Don't be shy. Oh, let me put you on the front of the class. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Juju may be with the Jets next year. So
I was in on that until the last 6 weeks of the season.
Right, yeah.
I don't like that amount. Joe Douglas especially. I don't think he wants that personality on the team right now when he's trying to build the culture up. Doesn't seem like a guy, especially since we have Jamison Crowder in the slot, and that's kind of Juju's bread and butter. And so I don't think we really need him. But I mean, listen, any wide receiver would help us at this point, I think.
True.
The greatness of Bashard Perriman's not helping.
Oh God, it's rough. It's rough, Blake. But
I do love Mims, though.
Yeah, I do love Mims. And on top of that clip from Colin Cowherd just now, in Baker's press conference after the game, he stopped the reporters from the question and he turned his hat backwards and put it on. It's a great clip. I was actually looking at it maybe 15 seconds before you played that, which is funny. But that was I love Baker. Something about Baker. I love him. I love him.
I don't know if you guys remember at the beginning of Baker's career, they already have bad blood because he had brought Baker onto his show, and he wanted to. He basically was trying to say Baker wasn't a team player because they had scored at Oklahoma. And he was running to the student section. He's like, He's like, where are you going, Baker? He's like, your team's over here. He's like, you showed 5 seconds of the clip. Why don't you show the rest of it where I run to the sideline with my team? He's like, well, where are you going to go? He's like, you weren't going to go get a smoothie or something at the round. You were going to go to the sideline. So they were going back and forth. So they already had bad blood from the beginning. So this was awesome in addition to him saying that and then the Browns beating the Steelers.
Yeah. That interview was crazy. As much as I disagree with a lot of what Cowherd says, he does some great interviews for sure. He definitely goes at players. He had a great one with Richie Incognito. And on top of that Baker one, he called him undraftable, and Baker has the sweatshirt. All his merch now says undraftable under it. It's great. There's some pettiness between them, and I love it. But it's really fun to watch.
It's great.
I think it's one of the things where you gotta like Baker Mayfield because one, you need that type of moxie to be a Browns quarterback. And I think when you're a Browns quarterback, you just need to bring this other energy that the whole city can just, just get behind. And that's what Baker brings. So he's either going to sink or swim. I think they looked for it in Johnny Manziel because he was a big time showcase type of guy, but he didn't have enough to back it up. Baker Mayfield definitely shows that he has everything to back it up. And they need that personality in Cleveland. Listen, I'm wondering right now with, like you guys with Bashard Perriman from a receiver standpoint, do you not take a Juju? Because, when you got a person like, if you're trying to build a culture, you say, oh, well, we want Juju, but then you got to think, like, is Juju going to give other teams that bulletin board material on you? Like, oh, they're just the Browns. I wonder how many times they saw that or heard that this week in getting prepped for this game. So you definitely don't want anything like that. But from a talent perspective, the kid's talented. Someone found a way to use him for sure.
Oh no, for sure. And I think the problem with the Steelers is when when the Steelers use him, sometimes when a lot of people watch some of the stuff he does, it's him extending. He was never a wide receiver one, right? He was always a really talented wide receiver two in the slot when Antonio Brown was on the team. Now that he's gone, you're kind of asking him to do something that he shouldn't really need to do, and that's when you start extending him to try and do things that he just can't do. And it's rough because there are a lot of teams that need slot receivers. Just like I said, I would love to get Chris Godwin on the Jets next year if you guys don't get him back. But he's also, I mean, he can do more. I think he's more versatile than Juju is, but his main thing is in the slot. And I think that we don't really. I think Jamison Crowder has been fantastic for us, and what we need is more of a guy like Allen Robinson who can kind of do it all. Versus a guy that's limited to just the slot.
Well, you know what? That's one of the things that when Blake had Coach on last week, and Coach said, hey, he was interviewing for jobs, and excuse me if I don't get him verbatim. He said, hey, I'm interviewing for jobs, and people don't want to give me a shot. When he got the shot at Blake's high school, he said they didn't want to give me a shot because I didn't have experience. He said, well, how do I get experience if you don't give me a shot? And I think that's the same thing we run into when we talk about number two receivers. Listen, Mike Evans played 1 year of football at high school, and then he went to A&M. So you didn't know, no one knew he was great. Then he comes with, he has a quarterback, and you're like, oh, well, I got a quarterback here. He can get me the ball. My numbers look good. I got an offensive tackle. My numbers look good. Well, we look at that offensive tackle playing for the Ravens right now, right from here, Gwinnett County, Georgia, Peachtree Ridge High School, playing for the Ravens. Orlando Brown Jr., right? Then you go, oh, his quarterback's not in the league anymore. Well, guess what? He did make it to the league. So when you're looking at Chris Godwin, and the same thing with Juju, is that you look at them and you say what the Steelers said. They said, well, we think we can make him a number one. He's close, right? But the problem comes into me, Jacob, is that when you find out what we've all seen right now is that, oh, shoot, he was a great number two and in the slot, but he's not a great number one. Right. The number one needs a little bit more. And I fear that I don't want to lose Chris Godwin at all. So I want to keep Chris Godwin 100% right here in Tampa. However, if you do get to a point where Chris Godwin goes somewhere else, I think the things that he does great right now, you're not necessarily asking your number one to do as much. So then you lose something. Now you need more from him, like they needed with Juju. And I think at this point, the Jets should have enough stock to you go out and you just grab a number one. You got to do something to get a number one and know this is a number one. Then we'll build around that. Juju wasn't a number one. They lost AB, and he's still not a true number one. And much like many players, you find out just how good players are when other players that help their situation leave.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think on top of that, with Chris Godwin, what's interesting with Godwin is, so one, I think the Jets should go out and get either Allen Robinson, and I'm not a huge fan of getting Kenny Golladay just because of that injury concern, but if we do get him and we don't pay him as much as we would normally, I'm fine with that. But with Chris Godwin, what was interesting to me is when Mike Evans is out, and that's when Chris Godwin has his best games, and same thing vice versa. And I don't know whether that's coaching or what it is, but Chris Godwin, when he's needed to step up, has been really, really good.
But let me ask you this, Jacob, Blake, everyone, is he just a victim of volume? It's just one ball to go around. You got a plethora of receivers. You just can't get everyone the ball. So I found it funny that later in the season when Mike went out, Chris didn't become the number one. He stayed in his role as 2, and AB became the 1. Versus earlier in the season, Mike went out, Chris became the number 1, and everyone else trickled down.
No, that it is an interesting point. I'm looking. I don't know. I think also with this Bucks team is that, I think it's less now that like maybe there's that is victim of. I think you have so many talented receivers on this team that it looks like that. But in reality, when you break it down, you have Mike Evans, you have Antonio Brown, and Chris Godwin. So if I was looking at like a guy like Scotty Miller or Tyler Johnson come out and do that, then that would be absolutely 100%. I'd agree with you. We will never know because we're going to see this trio of talented receivers for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, let me ask you this. Hey, Blake, when you break down this game, and Allison, we kind of went over the Steelers game for a second. I want to get you guys' all take on this Buccaneers game. In my opinion, I thought I would see Darren Buchanan a little bit more. We didn't see him, so I was kind of surprised at that. But the defense for what they did against the run was actually pretty decent. My issue with this defense continues to be the interior pass rush. And if you think you're going to manifest pass rush by removing one of your backers, this is why the Saints look so good. They're getting to us with 4. But we continue to have Nacho inside, which is Roches, and he tends to stand around. There's times when Sue's standing around, and then we have no interior push. I would love to see, as we had Khalil Davis in the game, I'm sure you guys saw that. And then I didn't see Benning Pateo in the game at all this weekend. I was wondering why, because when he was in, he provided pressure up the middle. Now, I feel like when you said, Blake, you said, hey, there was a knee issue and maybe we can't chase those guys around. Well, guess what? Breeze was moving around yesterday. You saw him getting mobile. On that touchdown that he threw to Murray, when Murray cut blocks, he had the wherewithal to say, hey, you just cut blocked the blitzer, got up off the floor. I know no one's covering you because that blitzer is who has you. Blitzer's still on the floor. Murray gets up, Breeze dumps in the pass. We have to have interior pressure. Our guys are a little bit slow, and that's one of the fears for me. What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, definitely. That's the one thing that's the good and the bad part about Todd Bowles' defense. I'm sure Jacob knows about that from his days in the Jets with New York. He focuses on stopping the run. He wants to make you one-dimensional. And unlike the Bucks, what the Steelers have, you have interior guys because they play 3-4 as well, attacking 3-4. You have guys that are good at pass rushing and run stopping, i.e. why Cam Hayward is so essential to them. That's why Truitt has double-digit sacks this season. Those guys can provide both run stopping ability and pass blocking ability. Sue is a run stopper. Nacho is a run stopper at best. McClendon, these guys are all interior guys are just run stoppers. You're not going to get really too much pass rush out of them. Khalil Davis is like he's undersized to where he can help in the run, but he's not a run stopper. He's more of a pass rusher. That's why he ran such a good 40 in the combine, around the 4.7 for a guy his size. He's not a run stopper. He's a pass rusher, but and then that's the thing about the season and coming to the playoffs and getting rest as much as you can. These guys are banged up. You're seeing it now with Jason Pierre-Paul. His knee is bothering him. It's really bothering him. And Shaq Barrett, maybe being that week off from COVID got to him a little bit. Who knows what happened? Maybe it just wasn't all working together with Devin White, but they found a way to pull out the win. But I don't know if there's any way that they can find any help on the interior at this point in the season. Now you are what you are at this point. You're just gonna have to figure out ways to get into the quarterback. What do you guys think?
No, I completely agree with you. And Todd Bowles is one of, just from what I've seen, and he is by far one of the most aggressive defensive coaches that I've seen, right, ever. And that's, it's this kind of off topic, but it's the reason why Jamal Adams looked so good when he was in New York, because you have Todd Bowles running one defense with him, and then you have Greg Williams running the other. And so you have these two guys who are extremely aggressive, and then you go to Seattle where they're more conservative with their safeties. And now he's limited. Now he's not getting those interceptions. He's terrible in pass coverage. And sure, he can get to the quarterback, but that's not the job that you want from your safety, right?
Yeah.
And with the Bucs, it's interesting. I don't know, because it seems like Bowles has been more conservative with the pass rush the last couple weeks.
I agree.
But I think the Shaq Barrett having the week off it's not great. And as a player, you kind of want to keep rolling, and especially into the playoffs, that surely might have gotten him to a little bit. And then I that's why I'm also worried this week about Devin White, about how he's going to be able to bounce back so quickly. I mean, he had 2 weeks off because of COVID. I worry about it, but it's not really a concern for me. It's not a game-changing concern for me, I don't think.
Hey, I was following, and I know Blake is as well. Devin White was early this morning on Twitter, up and early, like he's happy to be ready, back to go. He's wanting to be ready to run around. This dude is, I think he's a different individual. I would really be surprised if he misses a step, because he was unhappy with getting the COVID. He feels like he's being unfairly blamed. And he was this morning talking about being snubbed again and not getting the recognition. He's going to come out and play. He's look, every time I see that purple and yellow under any of these LSU players' pads, because they tend to all wear their pads, get them reconditioned or whatever. They come out and they just have this chip on the shoulder. I saw it on Leonard Fournette this week with his purple and yellow and popping out under that pad. Had a chip on his shoulder, was playing playoff football. And I think that Devin White, with this being the second year, he doesn't have some of those misses. I don't see him having the same miss. I see him, I watched linebackers yesterday try to get to Breeze. I said, well, you know what? When Levante was doing his Devin White impression, he jumped on that pump fake. Devin White's a little bit longer. I don't think he jumps. I think he gets the sack. So we'll see just where he's at. But I agree. Sometimes it can affect players, Jacob, but I think that we won't have that issue with Devin White.
I got a question, Jacob. You missed that part. Do you think Big Ben is retiring? We saw him crying on the sideline. Allison believes he might come back, but he might have been crying because Pouncey might be retiring. There's a lot of retiring questions. Left tackle and the Colts thinking about retiring. JJ Watt. Is that hanging it up? Is that what that's supposed to be?
Yeah, that's the hanger right there.
Is that what it is? Hanging
it
up?
That hanger right here. You give that hanger and hang it up.
What do you think, Jacob?
So here's my thing with Big Ben, and this is Allison. I'm sorry. I've been on the Steelers' rear end for so long about how this team is not their record. Their record did not reflect their actual team in terms of their, not really the talent, because I think they're very talented, but their ability to beat better teams and to be ready for the playoffs.
Yep.
Could my bigger idea is, it's not whether or not Big Ben's going to retire. It's, if I'm the Steelers, I'm not bringing him back next year, because he's a Hall of Famer. Absolutely. He doesn't fit that modern game. The game is forever changing. It's always changing. He doesn't have that extra step now above everyone else as a pocket passer, because he can't run, and he doesn't have it. And I think this team is full of young talent, young receivers, and they're going to have a young running back coming in next year. If I were to guess, maybe they'll draft that guy one in the first round. Whether it's Etienne or Najee Harris we'll see. But you need a more dynamic guy in there that can maybe run a better offense than Ben can, and do more with the offense than Ben can. But whether or not he's going to retire, if the Steelers decide not to bring it back, it might be a mutual thing that's like, hey, you might want to retire. Or he might be like, hey, I see Deshaun down there. If he wants to get paid, are there any other teams that maybe want to pay him to come in for a year?
Well, hey, let me just ask you this before she jumps in here. Allison just said, you might have missed it, Jacob. Ben's due for like $15 million. When is it? When is that bonus gonna hit? Yeah, in March, Jacob. So I could see that's $15 million. Plus, I think what is he, 40 this year?
40 million.
41 million. Listen, it's time I know he's the Steeler guy. This is not the Jerome Bettis contract. That's a contract that is killing you. Listen, I'm here in Atlanta, and the Falcons are going to deal with that exact same thing, trying to pay Matt Ryan and trying to pay Julio based on their contracts. It is definitely time to cut bait, because the way the league is changing, and listen, the Falcons were definitely a lot more dynamic offensively from a game perspective, even though their record didn't show it, than what we saw out of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has to get it back. I'm 100% with Jacob. They have to get it back. And to be honest with you, I know the Steelers won't do it because they're so the Steeler way. I really feel they need to tweak that offense a little bit to just bring it to the next step. But hey, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm going to jump out and listen to you guys while I'm doing what I need to do. Okay.
Bye, Deshaun.
Bye, Deshaun. I'll talk to you, man.
Yeah, if I were the Roonies, like, I'll be honest, I don't know exactly who makes obviously I know the general manager, he makes the decisions in terms of the personnel, or the players rather. I don't know who makes the decision in terms of the coaching staff, but if I were whoever makes those decisions, I would have fired Randy Fichtner, their offensive coordinator, last night. I would definitely be firing their offensive line coordinator. Maybe even Keith Butler. He seems to feel like his scheme is, let's have linebackers cover wide receivers, which is just not, you just can't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, their defense is solid, but, with the missing parts, and I mean, obviously the defense is going to come back next year, but I honestly think that the whole offensive line just needs to be rebuilt. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you're off to a good start with Kevin Dotson, who didn't play a snap at all last night, which I thought was kind of ridiculous. But their tackles, I mean, they have 22 free agents next year, and they'll be lucky with the salary cap if they're even able to sign one of those guys.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be, I don't think they're going to be entirely rebuilding, especially if Ben decides to stick around. But I do agree with, I think it was Jacob who said, they need to, the Steelers aren't evolving with the times, like these offenses are creative and at least the good ones are anyway. And they're fast, and they have running backs who can run for, more than a 2-yard average. And I definitely feel like they should grab a running back next year for sure. But I think that with the first pick, I mean, I think they have like 6 picks next year, which is nice, 6 or 7 this year, actually, in a couple months. But I do believe that they need to, because I feel like they need to have a solid offensive line before they can have a good running game, and they just don't have that line right now.
And I'll even go there with, look at the Bucs right now, and this is something that I realized it more after their playoff game was, it doesn't matter what running back is back there, whether it's Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette, because that offensive line is so strong that no matter what running back is back there, will be able to produce.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely agree with you, Allison. You need to build that offensive lineup before you do anything else, because teams, I can't think of a Super Bowl team in the last however long that won a Super Bowl without a good offensive line. And I don't think there is one.
Nope.
And the Steelers, I've heard a lot of people say they should keep Ben around even if they bring in a young quarterback, because you want that veteran presence. But here's the thing with Ben, and this is something that we've seen for his entire career, is that he constantly wants to be the guy everywhere he goes. And I don't think that his personality will allow him to mentor a young quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you need to either keep him around for another year or get rid of him completely. And a quarterback that I think that I really like for you guys, that I don't know if they're going to keep him in the AFC, is my boy Sam Darnold, if we get rid of him, because I think he's a guy that can definitely be developed.
Right now, the way the Steelers are, they just any talk of any quarterback, that is unhappy or maybe leaving their current organization, they're on top of it. I mean,
for sure.
Sam Darnold. I made a joke when Mariota came in for Derek Carr, and he was looking good.
Yeah, right.
So I tweeted Marcus Mariota, the Steelers, and I knew I was just talking out of my ass, but I also knew that, I think that was the tweet that's gotten the most traffic since I've been on Twitter. And it's like, oh, it was just tongue in cheek. But I even did it last night or the other night with Tyler. Is it Tyler Heineke or Taylor?
Taylor Heineke. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know his name.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Everybody says the difference.
Right. So yeah, they definitely need. Rudolph. Gosh, he's a Band-Aid, and that's pretty much it. I think that
That's generous.
Yeah,
Band-Aid.
it really is, because I think obviously he hasn't had a whole ton of playing time, but it's like if you need 3 seasons to show that like you're any good,
You're not that good. You're not that good. Yeah.
You're not a wide receiver. That's what wide receivers get, 3 years.
Mhm.
Quarterback.
Mhm. Yeah. So, and we saw the gap between Terry Bradshaw and Ben Roethlisberger, and it was like 21 seasons of just, and Cordell Stewart. Ooh, like that was probably their best in terms of being able to do a lot of different things. Their best guy, between Bradshaw and Roethlisberger. So, but I also don't feel like it's like that as much anymore. I feel like quarterbacks. I don't follow college, but I feel like they're more prepared. College quarterbacks transitioning into the NFL.
Absolutely. 110%.
Yeah. So I sort of feel I'm confident that, I definitely don't feel like the Steelers are going to draft a quarterback with their first pick. I don't really see why they would, if they're not going to take one, if they're not going to do something bold and like trade up and try and get somebody, a quarterback in the first round, don't do it at all. Because they've just shown that they can't get quarterbacks that are worth anything after the first round.
Yeah.
I feel like if they're going to draft, if they're going to waste a pick on a quarterback in like the 3rd or 4th round, I just think that would be ridiculous. So, but at the same time, that's where you can get a running back. I mean, Le'Veon Bell was a 3rd round.
Yep.
Was a 3rd round selection. So, I mean, obviously, you know what I mean. That's lightning in a bottle, but. Hopefully they can get a running back and rebuild that offensive line, early in the draft this year. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, for sure. And with Mason Rudolph, it's I'm not someone who thinks, like if you're better, you know more about football if you can watch football, if you watch it live in person, like, I can see so much more talent. Like you see the same amount of talent if you're watching it at home than in person. But I happened to be at the Steelers Jets game last year, week 16. And where that was a crazy coaching, whatever. There was a quarterback change. I think Hodges started the game, then he got hurt, and Rudolph came in, and then Hodges went back in the game.
Yeah.
But for real, you're watching it in person, right? I've seen a nice amount of football live. I'm happy that, I get to go to a lot of Jets games because I live 15 minutes away from the stadium. I've seen Tom Brady play live. I've seen Russell Wilson play live. It's just a different animal when you're watching Mason Rudolph play versus when you're watching a guy like Russell Wilson play. I can't understand in this league why you would settle for a quarterback. That's been my number one thing is if you don't think your guy is the guy, you move off of him. That's like right away you do it. If you don't think your guy can win you a Super Bowl, there's no reason for him to be your quarterback. And it's a situation that I'm dealing with right now in New York where do we settle for Sam Darnold in the hopes that the new coach can fix him, or do we let the new coach come in and develop a guy that now has a better chance, a guy who is fresh right out of college? Like Alice was saying, it's the transition. You listen to Joe Burrow actually talking on his interview with Colin Cowherd. He's saying the transition from college to the NFL is smoother than ever now. And I get Burrow's a ridiculously talented quarterback, and so it might be different for him, but with a lot of guys, I mean, Justin Herbert, the same thing. He immediately came in. It was great. And even Tua came in. It looked like he had adapted pretty quickly to the NFL. It's a lot easier. And I think that even if you draft a guy with that first rounder, there will be a quarterback available for you in that late in the first round. It could be a guy like Mac Jones, depending on how he plays tonight, from Alabama. I don't love him, but it's just he'll be a guy who's sitting there. Maybe Trey Lance. I think he might go earlier though. Yeah, I think he might end up in Washington. That's kind of what I'm hearing everywhere is him to Washington. But listen, there's a lot of options in Pittsburgh, and I think that the number one thing, especially with you're going to have your linebackers coming back, and that was a huge thing that you guys lost was every single linebacker you had that came in went down like really quickly. So whatever situation ends up happening, the number one step is fixing the quarterback position. And as much as I hate to say it, and Steelers fans hate to admit it, it is a position that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, I honestly, I want to say it was it might have been the year they drafted Rudolph or the year before they drafted Rudolph. I was always a proponent of the Steelers drafting, kind of doing like what they did in Green Bay, Because Favre was around, for a while before they ended up, and Rodgers was warming the bench, and he was. I mean, obviously, like you said, Jacob, it was a different situation because it does seem like Ben doesn't give a shit about who comes in behind him, because if it's not him, he doesn't want to have to deal with it.
Reminds me of Joe Montana and Steve Young. That they still to this day don't like each other.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it would be nice if it were a situation where, Ben could, I'm not talking about hand holding, but I'm just saying, if they had somebody who was good enough, and Mason Rudolph isn't it, to kind of sit behind Ben for a season or two, to kind of soak all that in and kind of get an idea of, but also there's a lot of bad things about Ben. I mean, he's an old school quarterback. Before this season, when they changed the offense on him, he held the ball too long. He threw too many interceptions. He took too many sacks.
Right.
So, there is the other side of that in which, do you really want a quarterback to come in and kind of learn some of the bad traits, that Ben had. So, but yeah, I agree. It starts with the quarterback, because if you don't have one, you're not going anywhere. So
well, you both make some good
tough decisions to make.
Yeah, you both make some good solid points on especially that. I mean, I'm always a firm believer on building the trenches. You'll never convince me otherwise, because I've seen too many situations where you do go get a quarterback and you can't support him with the line. You can't support him with a run game. You don't have the tools. And
Andrew Luck, Joe Burrow.
And then by the time you get it, the 5 years later or 4 years later after the draft, he's leaving. Because it's at the end of the contract. So you only have, so what I've looked at since I've got, you get older and you watch the game, it's all about windows. It's all about times of windows. How many times you were just talking about, Jacob, with Atlanta Falcons paying out your quarterback and your wide receiver? You had money at that time. Why? Because you had Keanu O'Neal when he was young. You had Trufant and all these guys when they didn't cost that much money. You don't have to move around. Vic Beasley coming out his rookie year, leading the league in sacks. You only have windows to do these things, and it's just like the quarterbacks. If you're going to start, just build your trenches first and have some type of running support for your quarterback when he can't play well or he's banged up or whatever. And the Steelers have totally went away from their identity. We said this several times. When have they been a passing team? When have they been a passing team? Always been ground and pound. I told you, Jonathan Taylor, I thought would have ended up in Pittsburgh, but lo and behold, he ended up in Indianapolis and ended up balling out. And Jacob, you were talking about Sam Darnold. I think the kid can get it done. I said when your own head coach says that's my fault, I didn't develop him. Yeah, I would assume so. He's playing bad, and you're not doing anything at all to support him. You got a guy who wasn't a team player, and you paid him a buttload of money in the contract and naming Le'Veon Bell. You bring in Brashard Perriman. You want to talk about Band-Aids? That's a Band-Aid. We all knew Brashard Perriman wasn't going to be a number one stud receiver. At most, he'll make a couple splash plays and things like that, but he was never going to come out and truly shine.
He had one good game this year.
Yep.
One good game against New England.
Yep, against New England. Yeah, I remember the game where Joe Flacco threw that pick at the end of the game when they had a chance to win. Yeah, I remember that game.
That was the narrative all year. Was that last? It was one play that ended up costing the Jets, the Jets the game. But we couldn't have that one play against the Rams or the Browns. So it is what it is. But we don't. Now we're not getting Trevor Lawrence. So
I mean, well, who do you want? Who do you actually want?
So the possibilities now are, and I think, okay, this is what I was saying was,
tough, right?
I obviously would have loved it to get Trevor Lawrence. I would have loved having that, the confirmation that we were getting him at 1. Now at 2, it makes the draft a lot more fun for me to watch but also a lot more stressful, because we can either take Justin Fields at 2, and if he shows out tonight against Bama, we can trade down to 5, which I think the Bengals will give a nice offer for that number 2 pick to get Penei Sewell. We could take Penei Sewell if we want to, if we think Darnold's the guy, and we could end up taking Zach Wilson at 5, hopefully, maybe, depending on how the draft works out. But there's a lot of options, and it's interesting. I don't know, but I think personally right now, the move I want to make is probably just to take Fields at 2, because I think the talent is there and I see it. And I think the narrative of Ohio State quarterbacks not being good in the NFL is over now that Urban Meyer's gone.
And I think when people talk about how bad, those player Haskins, kind of set the thing for Ohio State quarterbacks now, everybody's looking at them different. They got to know what these guys study like. You got to know what these guys are willing to do to win and make their teams better. That's how you really grade somebody. And Fields can definitely has the one part in that playing the quarterback that is needed in today's quarterback is ad-libbing, extending plays, creating like a point guard in basketball. Can you create your own scoring opportunities? And he provides all those along with his legs. And for all we know, you still might get Trevor Lawrence, depending on the way Justin Fields plays today. They might draft. Jaguars might take Justin Fields. We don't know.
It's a real possibility now with Urban Meyer going to Jacksonville, which is what I'm hearing everywhere, is that he's going to get that. He'll be hired by either early this week or early next week. Justin Fields would really need to do something special tonight to go number one. Since I know that Trevor didn't play well or didn't play that well against, or they lost the game to Ohio State, but you still see so much talent from him, and he has all the intangibles to be an NFL quarterback. And I think he's going to still be great depending on where he ends up. And that's the biggest thing. I can't see, and I'm tired of this narrative of that Jacksonville is such a better place to go than New York, because when New York had the number one pick and we had that secured, Trevor should force his way to not go to New York, and he shouldn't want to go there. But now that Jacksonville, which has one of the most incompetent owners I've ever seen in the NFL, has that pick, and maybe the worst media market going into next year, then it would have been at the time Tampa if they didn't get Tom Brady.
Right.
I cannot understand this anti-Jets media bias that's going on, and it angers me because I can't just get some good Jets coverage besides from the beat reporters. It's unfortunate, but I have to fix that. Me and the 7 Jets fans in the world have to fix that.
I'll tell you, the guy, I totally get where your rage is coming from, if you want to really call it rage, but I get a guy that made me really wanted to get into doing all this stuff was the draft analysis. That his name just slips my mind. The one that's always wrong.
Todd McShay?
No, not that one. The other one.
Daniel Jeremy.
Mel Kiper.
Mel Kiper. Okay.
Whoa.
Mel Kiper.
I love Mel Kiper. I love Mel Kiper.
Mel Kiper was the reason I wanted to get in. I said, how can this guy consistently be up here and be called an expert and is consistently wrong? I said, I can do that. I said, but I would put more effort into being wrong. That I think sometimes the stuff he says is just out of this world. It's just like
outrageous.
Yeah, it's outrageous. And with just like Coward, you're talking about hats. We're talking about hats now,
right?
That's what we're talking about. Is that what we've gotten to? Who gave you this idea, or did you just spend all day smoking those cigars, thinking about if you wear a hat backwards, it's going to depend on if you win or lose? I have no idea where they come up with these things, but it's great marketing. I'll give it to them. It's great marketing.
Yeah.
But Jacob, you doing the right thing, man. Trying to put your voice out for your team because you feel like media people, just like the media out there. I assume you live in New Jersey, right? You said 15.
I live in New Jersey.
Yep. So you think you can do a better job than them, and but you're in a country where you have the opportunity to do that. So why sit on your ass and not do it when you got the ability to go up to do it? Nah, man, I'm for guys like yourself. So do what you keep doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the two guys that there's a few guys. So in terms of a guy who is constantly wrong, that I always that really made me come on here and start doing this for the most part back in May was Coward, and he's a guy I would watch him almost every day because I was home from school. I got to be frustrated. Virtual, and I'm watching him, and I'm like, how is he allowed to say these things on television and still be called? I guess he's a TV. I guess he's more of a TV personality, is what I realized, than anything else. And then two guys who I respect immensely that I love are Rich Eisen and Pat McAfee. Are two, and I especially Rich Eisen is one. He's a Jets fan, and he's a guy who goes on and he says the same things as I do, where it's enough of this Jets anti-Jet stuff because it's not as bad as you think, and it's just a whole lot of disappointment. Which I feel like 90% of the teams, there's probably 6 or 7 teams in the NFL that aren't constantly disappointed with how they're doing. And it's, I don't know, but the Jets are definitely up there. And I can promise you, Alton, I'm sure the Steelers are, and Blake, so are the Bucs. It's just 3 teams that are, and the Steelers are a little different because they're always disappointing in the playoffs. Blake, we can't even get to the playoffs, man. It was rough. It's rough. It's
Since Rex Ryan, when he had the things going in the right way there, it hasn't been that. And
Right.
Herm did some great things with the Jets at a time. But yeah, you're right. It's been far in between trying to replace the GMs. I think you guys hired one of the Bucks old GMs from years ago, and that didn't really work out. And I say this till I blew in my face. If you want teams that win consistently, have consistent head coaches and consistent quarterbacks. That is the recipe to win in this league. Not coaching carousels. You won't win like that. You won't win.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I don't think. Yeah, and you see a new uprising of successful head coaches and players, and it's guys. It's all been adapting to the modern game. This is something I'm big on. Is you have to look at what's working in the league right now, because there is a formula, right? What teams are winning? Look at the quarterbacks who are still left. Right. And the AFC more, because that's kind of the AFC is changing a lot more than the NFC is in terms of quarterback play. Right. You have Mahomes, right. You have Josh Allen, you have Lamar Jackson. These are and then Baker, he's great in play action. Right. It's guys who can move. You're right. You see Drew Brees running a little bit more play action. You see Tom Brady, who's now doing really well with play action.
Yeah, he's getting out the pocket.
Yeah, exactly. He's moving a little bit. We see him moving, but it's even Aaron Rodgers too. These are guys, they're getting out of the pocket, and this is the Big Ben cannot do that. He doesn't. He cannot run play action efficiently. He can't even really run He can't really run anything efficiently. I mean, even that short pass is not working for him anymore. He was throwing it over running backs' heads, and it was ugly to watch.
Yeah.
And at that position,
he came out. What's that?
As at that position, you throw a lot with your arm, but your legs have a lot to do with your follow through. And just like Jacob said, that's why the ball sails. That's why it's off target, because it's either that knee is still hurting, which I can imagine all in that cold and all that. I can imagine the aches and pains that he has. But Jacob's right. What Big Ben has been known for is an ad-libber, buying time, scrambling. It didn't have to be fast. You just had to be able to get away and be able to extend plays. And here's a question for both of y'all. I always forget to ask that when we're on here on Mondays. I was listening to a college game. I can't remember what it was. I was just watching football, most of us do when it's a good game on. And the two guys were on the radio having a conversation, and he brought up a good point. All right. He said, so what you just said, Jacob, in today's football, it's all about the guy that can move and extend plays, correct? That's the new era of this. So he said, those guys should be the ones that are picked in the top 10, and the guys that are statues and typical NFL quarterbacks shouldn't be that first round grade. They should be later grade quarterbacks. What do you think about that?
Ooh, I agree, honestly. I agree. But you see in college now, there's more, even the guys who are more statue quarterbacks, they do move because you have to move more now, right? Even Trevor Lawrence is 6'7", and normally that'd be a guy who's standing in the pocket waiting to throw. He can move, that kid, and so can Justin Fields, and and even Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson has a lot of, I hate to say that he has a lot of Mahomes in him, because Mahomes is a different level of talent, but you see a lot of the same things with him, so a lot of the same skill sets. But no, I agree. And this is another guy who I think doesn't get the respect he deserves, and now he's just kind of in headlines, is Deshaun Watson. And if Deshaun Watson was on any other team, which it seems like he might be come next season, I think that he's going to be a lot more successful. And it's I think Deshaun Watson's still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL even this year. Just you watch him play, and you're right, Blake. It is about extending plays, and he's not necessarily a mobile quarterback. He's not a running quarterback, but he can certainly extend plays when he needs to. Maybe better than anyone I've seen in the NFL besides Pat Mahomes.
And you can jump in here anytime, Alice. I know we're rambling a little bit because I mean some good stuff right here. I mean, Deshaun questioning about a trade. Then you have JJ Watt coming out questioning people's work ethic with that whole rant to the press. You shouldn't come out here, et cetera, et cetera. We get paid all this money. I don't know if that's a shot, at the whole team and the organization. It seems like a lot of disarray is happening out there in Houston, much like, I ain't gonna say to the extent of Washington, because I think Washington made the right choice hiring Ron Rivera. That guy's gonna change that organization around quickly. With the Jets, you guys get new head coach in there. You guys you try to build your new brand in there, much like the Bucs were doing for many years. And the Steelers, you guys kind of went away from what you are running hard-nosed defense. You guys want to turn into an aerial assault with the statue quarterback that can't do it anymore. It just seems like everybody's trying to find their identity in this league.
Yeah, I'm all for changing in the guard, in Pittsburgh. I really feel like it's going to be right now there's so many young Steelers fans that don't know anything else but Ben Roethlisberger. So
yeah, that's true.
They're going to have a hard time. I was young enough to where, I saw Cordell Stewart, and Tommy Maddox and Bobby Brister and all these Mike Tomczak and all these other, quarterbacks. And then when Ben came along, it was like, whoa, like how refreshing is this? So I think that it's just better I would personally, cut the ties, you know what I mean? Like just like they did with Troy Polamalu, whatever year it was, they forced him to retire. He wasn't ready to retire. Hines Ward wasn't ready to retire, but they were forced to retire or they were going to be cut. So it's like, well, do I want to be cut and go to some other team for the last 2 years of my career, or do I just want to retire, on top? So obviously, this is not the kind of game that Ben wants to retire after, but I think that might play a small part in it. But I do think that there is hope because the Steelers, they're the last in the league to kind of, well, not the last in the league, but the last in their division to kind of, I think they're finally accepting that everybody else in the AFC North is evolving and they're not. So I think the sooner they get that whole process started, the better.
Definitely. Well, go ahead, Jacob. You got something?
Oh yeah, no. And then I was just gonna harp on this Deshaun Watson stuff. Where in Houston, it's the fact that now you're not letting that head coaches are like not interviewing with you because they see what's going on over there, and not even the amount that Bill O'Brien set back this franchise. It's the amount that ownership has, and Cal McNair and all these guys who are just the owners are hearing it from they're listening to the wrong people. And this was a problem in New York too. Woody Johnson and Chris Johnson, well, more recently, he was listening to the wrong guys when he hired Adam Gase. He was listening. He input from Peyton Manning, and I guess I get Peyton Manning as a guy when he says something, you listen to him, but Peyton Manning's success didn't come because of Adam Gase. And Peyton Manning was Peyton Manning way before Adam Gase was his coach and had anything to do with him.
Build his own brand.
Exactly. And who was Adam Gase successful with? Jay Cutler? No, like Jay Cutler was fine at best. Like Jay Cutler was not this crazy quarterback that was all due to coaching. Especially with Mike McCagnon too. In New York, the fact that the Jets are turning it around with Joe Douglas and creating a culture, and they are building from within the trenches. They're building up this offensive line. Mekhi Becton looks like hopefully a franchise left tackle for the next 10 years because he's ginormous. George Fant at right tackle looked really, really good this year. And what they do need to fix is those interior offensive linemen. You can maybe move the center Connor McGovern over to a side because he does play guard. Mm-hmm. And you get a center, but I want to throw the bag at Joe Thuney this offseason, the left guard. Maybe draft Wyatt Davis in the first round with that late Seattle pick at 23 now. These are a lot. I want to build that. And then our defensive line is great. They stop the run pretty well. They can get to the passer. Quinnen Williams looks like a stud already. And if they make this right head coaching hire, I think this team turns around really, really quickly. In Houston, that's not going to happen because no one wants to coach with them. Right. Yeah. And especially if they get rid of Deshaun Watson, this team goes into a rebuild now with no cap space. And well, if they trade Deshaun Watson, they'll have draft picks, but this team hasn't been historically great at drafting anyway, because they took the obvious choice with Deshaun Watson. And I can't think of another guy, maybe besides D-Hop, that they went that was like a stud right away. Right. They don't have Jadeveon Clowney anymore. And Jadeveon Clowney was never a stud at the beginning. Never a stud. Right. And Jadeveon Clowney's whole thing is that he's really good at almost sacking the quarterback. Right. He has a ton of quarterback pressures. And he has like no sacks. And it's honestly at that point it's irrelevant because he can't hit the quarterback. it's a team that no one wants to play for right now. I don't blame them. They're not going to draw any free agents. They can't pay free agents, and they're losing. There's a chance they lose their 3 best players within 2 years, and it's rough.
It's rough. You're right. It's gonna. I mean, you've summed it up for Houston. It's gonna get really ugly really fast there, and pretty much their only option is, if you run a secure future, is you're probably going to end up having to trade Deshaun Watson and find you another quarterback. Because what that does is, remember we just talked about the windows. What that does, now you bring in a whole new group of guys with a 5-year window span. You get your cap back within that window. Now you can start building and bringing in free agents. They see you're bringing in a new culture. You're changing things up there, and Houston definitely needs that, because if you don't have the heart, JJ Watt's heart behind the team, there's something wrong. Because that guy is utterly the definition of team player.
Oh, not just team player, city player, franchise player. He's a great guy. And honestly, I could see a reunion. I don't know what the cap space is looking like, but I could see a Watt trio happening in Pittsburgh possibly next year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, they're right now they're $22 million in the red. So, but apparently it does sound sounds more and more like Marquise Pouncey is going to hang it up. So
save a couple dollars there.
I haven't looked to see on over the cap, what that's going to do for us. Hopefully it's going to save us some money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess now they're going to be looking at a center, what I mean? That's kind of important. They don't have one right now.
I mean, especially after that first play last night, you're gonna be looking at one. But that was I'm sitting here watching, my TV's right there, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, there's no way that just happened to the Steelers.
Right.
Like, there's no way that's happening. And then Ben comes out and throws an interception. The next, it was just,
oh my God.
it got ugly. It got ugly quickly.
Quarterback who was 6'5", if he can't get that, then there's no
I don't know what to tell you. And then
game. There's nothing about that game that makes me want to go back and rewatch it.
No, absolutely. And then Blake, the Bucs are another team I could absolutely see making a run at JJ Watt, because you probably won't get Shaq Barrett back next year. If I were to guess, he seems like a guy you might let walk, especially if you use the tag on Chris Godwin, or Levante David. I don't really know what the deal is with. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it more obviously, because the focus right now is the Super Bowl or the Saints right now. But JJ Watt's certainly a guy I could see as like a 1 year. He kind of wants to make a Super Bowl run. That's a team to go to if you want to make a Super Bowl run right now, because everyone wants to play with Brady. And that seems like a culture that JJ Watt would like playing for in Tampa. And don't be surprised if he ends up there. He's not going to be on a bad team. I can tell you that he's not going to be on a bad team next year. So so be aware of that.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. They have the cap to pay him. Like Allison said, I think he would play with his brother, but do they have the funds to pay him? I'm sure if they really want him, they can find the funds. I'm sure they'll find it.
Yeah. I just don't know that Derek Watt. I don't think Derek Watt's going to be there next year, so that would kind of,
that would take
I get you.
I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they will. I mean, he's. I think they signed him to like a 3-year contract, so he does technically still have a couple more years, but they didn't use him at all this year. Maybe that's just like, oh, okay, well, we'll use him next year, as a fullback anyway. He did pretty good on special teams, but again, you don't pay a guy that much money to be on special teams. So, but we'll see. It'll be interesting. You guys still have, well, not Jacob, but Blake still has some season to go before the offseason starts for them. So, for me, it's going to be an interesting offseason. I was just kind of hoping that it wasn't going to start as early as it did.
It's okay.
I mean, listen, you guys are talking about it. How in the hell are the Saints going to do? I watched a very interesting video about the Saints cap space and how
it's awful.
But they are $90 million over the cap, and they see the limit to field a team is 44 players on your roster and minimum. And I think I read even if they cut their entire team, they'd still be like, I think, $40 million over it's some ridiculous number, and then the owner would have to pay the rest out of pocket.
Oh my goodness.
It's a crazy it's crazy, and it's insane. And I don't know how they are going to be able to do anything. I don't know how they just paid Kamara. I don't know how they're paying Michael Thomas. I don't know. They're going to have to bring in a young quarterback that they're not going to have to pay next year, and I think that
it has to be.
11 or 12 teams are going to be calling about Sam Darnold. That's certainly going to be one of them.
Yep, and we'll see what they do with Jameis Winston, see what they do with Taysom Hill, and see what those contracts are. I mean, you're absolutely right. I think everybody's been talking about how do the Saints keep fielding all these players and you're in cap hell. They're literally they ain't in purgatory. They're in full-blown hell. They're I don't know how I guess they're really all in on winning the Super Bowl within Drew Brees' last couple. I mean, this has to be Drew Brees' last year, as you can't afford that salary. And if not, and then you got Taysom Hill on a franchise tag. So there's going to be some moves made here, and some players going to be definitely shifting around.
Certainly.
But I'll get you guys out of here. You guys, you did great today talking about NFL and the Bucs and everything. I appreciate you guys coming on. Jacob, you're always welcome every Monday. We talk about NFL around the league on Mondays. We do the Bucs recap, and then we just talk NFL. I know I wanted to get the wide receiver on here, Mr. Smith, out here and talk about the Jets and the rebuild. And he wants to come on. He's ready to talk. So that's why I wanted to get you on here, because I know you had a lot of questions about the culture of Vincent Smith, Allison. That's who I was going to get on here. And Jacob, I hit Jacob up because I know he's a Jets fan. I didn't feel right leaving the guy out, knowing I know he had questions definitely about the organization. I wouldn't do that to him.
110%
I wouldn't do that to him. I wouldn't do that to him. So yeah, he's gonna get on here. Hopefully it'll be get him on Monday when everybody's on here, so you can shoot some questions about the organization and what's going on. Definitely, he's from Germany as well, so that's definitely something to talk about as well. So you guys want to plug yourselves in, and we'll get you out of here.
Yeah, even though the Steelers season is over, I still write for Steelers Wire. So if you know anything about the Steelers, SteelersWire.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at SteelersWireAK and on Facebook at writer Allison Colvin.
Thank you, Allison. We'll see you next Monday.
Nice to meet you, Jacob.
Nice to meet you. It was a lot of
That's right. You guys never been on with each other.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like the little brother.
Yeah.
See you guys.
All right. See you. Jacob, you're up.
Yes. Check out the Hard Count Football Podcast on YouTube and SoundCloud. And then the Hard Count Football Podcast live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Hard Count Football YouTube channel. And then here on Bucs Report. So that's a lot of fun. Come on, send me questions. Join the stream. I send out the link. Call in. Tell me I'm wrong. I love people telling me I'm wrong. I'll love to talk to you about it. And then follow me on Twitter at Jacob Charnow, Instagram at Hard Count Football. And Blake, it's always a lot of fun. I'll be back on soon enough. Hopefully next Monday I'll be around. And it's a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I know you get out of school around that time and stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll definitely have a spot for you here. And you're always welcome right here on Sports Talk 49. Coaching from the couch, because it's much easier and safer coaching from the couch. Because
yes, it is.
There's no risk here.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Jacob, take it easy.
I'll talk to you, man.
Yep. Jacob Charnow, the young stud out of New Jersey. Jersey? I know. I ain't been up north in so long. I think it was Jersey. But this is the end of the session. Great stuff all over. Appreciate you guys, all the comments and everything. I got tape to watch. You got Bucs Saints playoffs, round 3. I don't know where to go with this angle. I don't know where to go to give you guys something quality that I can find some type of edge that I hadn't said already. I guess I got to be creative. So we'll end this as we always do. You're the master of everything. What you do with your life, what you do with it is entirely up to you. This show is none other than powered by 320 Solar. Go to 320solar.com, the Deck Bar and Grill at Isla del Sol, and tune in to Peter Blake and the Sports Web tonight at 9 p.m. as well. He'll be giving you 110%. Guys, follow me at Blake Anthony 49. And I'll just end this as fire those cannons. See you guys. God bless. Fire those cannons. See you guys Friday, 3 p.m. If I can find the little video. There we go.
It takes a lot to get this far. A lot. Well, we're here now. So now what? 16 games. But really, we're just getting started. We know it's a long time coming.
For the first time in 13 years.
But we still got a long way to go.
That hypnotic championship mindset.
Our story's got blood, sweat, and a hell of a lot of tears. But the thing is, they got them too. And only one of us is moving on.
This right here, man, is a moment. An incredible moment, dog. We know when we play. Ain't nobody laying with us.
It took us a minute to get here. Now, Get ready for 60 more.
Across midfield. Pressure up the middle, not going to escape that time. A lot of time. Steps in with guns it. It's in the air and picks. Back the other way. Ronald Jones has a Buccaneer touchdown. Chris Godwin, just stop it. And the ball's out. Looking for Gronk, and he's got it. Huge loss. This is what Tampa needed. Get this place rocking. Wait up, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Our playoffs start now, baby. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? Huh? Huh? Don't talk about it. Be about it. Let's go.